Hello everyone, Magic Hands, it's Tarot Tuesday. Woo! What's going on? Yay, super excited for today's deck because spooky season is officially upon us. And I know that for many people, spooky season began like in August or like as soon as the last firecracker went off on the 4th of July. However, for me, spooky season is like, it starts in October. Even though like I literally like kind of live the aesthetic all year long, I love October. It's like the beginning of the best little nugget of the year for me. So with that in mind, for the next 4 weeks, my Tarot Tuesdays are going to be October themed decks, my spookiest ones, my most, the most Halloween-y, right? So I'm going to start with this monster right here, Christina Ricci's Catful of Spiders. Ah! My sister Rebecca bought me this deck for Christmas last year, and I was like, what? First of all, how dare you have a freaking Christina Ricci dedicated deck? Because what? That's incredible. But second of all, look at this. She's one of those luxury decks. I call this a luxury deck when it just comes in like unbelievable, just very well thought out packaging, and there's like little like something to discover a little bit, even though really all this is, it's just like, it's kind of shaped like a book. But I love that, like, it's very, the aesthetic of this deck feels very me, because it's like, it's fun. It's not like spooky kind of scary. It's not scary kind of spooky. It's just like fun in this like dark, queenly, elegant way, right? So we open her up, and here she is. Woo! Like, look at that beautiful pattern, right? Come on, guys, come on. And here's the deck inside of this little like velveteen hollow in our book. We have our book guide, and we have the deck. And I love the ones that have the ribbons so that you can like move the deck out. So this deck is wildly conceptual, right? So first of all, the kind of thing that I like to think of as a fan deck, and technically I think everything that I've shown you guys has been a fan deck, because like I am a fan who is dedicated to Jim Henson's Labyrinth, and I am a fan who's dedicated to David Bowie, and I love Christina Ricci. I have not seen all of her films, but I love like the idea of her, you know, just like her aesthetic and the projects she's choose, the movies I have seen, the television shows I have seen. She's just got this lovely gravitas that is just like yummy. She's magnetic. And so when a deck that is dedicated to like a person or an idea is in the hands of someone, like that deck will sing. Like there's a Britney deck out there. I don't have that Britney deck, because it's like, yeah, I love Britney, but it's not like, you know, like David Bowie. But like my friend has the Britney deck, and in his hands, that deck sings. It sings out like glorious into the sky, an angelic chorus of amazing insights, because he is able to like, even though these are not like literal translations of like Britney, they're just like ideas of Britney. He gets it. Like he understands the concept and the theory of the deck so well. I would love to get to that level with this deck. But this deck in itself, it's wildly conceptual. There is so much about it that is like, it's a little bananas. I don't even like, let's talk about whether or not I think this is a beginner deck after I tell you about it. So, the book is kind of a necessity for understanding the concept of the deck. So this deck says that it was conceptualized by Christina Ricci and Felipe Flores, who is also the illustrator of this deck. But the book was written by Minerva Seigel, who I feel like I have a couple of Minerva Seigel decks in here, who is awesome. I think she has a couple decks in my collection that I really love. I remember seeing her name when I was typing out my little inventory. So this one here, it's kind of cool because your 4 suits, they stay your 4 suits. We're not swapping out any of the major arcana cards. Like with the David Bowie deck, it was like the Fool was the Sacred Clown. Like, we're not doing that. We're sticking with what we know, but we're putting this interesting story in it. So the 4 suits, they remain cups, wands, swords, pentacles, but each suit has like a fictional story attached to it that's inspired by a genre of film that Christina Ricci is known for. So these aren't necessarily depictions of her characters in her films, although they're all inspired by her characters in her films. But what the author has done, and what I'm assuming Christina Ricci has done, is imagined fictional stories around all of it. So basically, we have for wands, we are following this character named Marlena, who's like in a magic school, kind of like Wednesday, right? And she's just very precocious and very, very good at it. And so her instructors are tasking this, probably a teenager or a child, so kind of getting into like some Harry Potter-ish stuff. She's being tasked with lifting this curse on this place that they live, right? Which is called Deserti Arenarum, and they're restoring this place to its former glory, right? And so her teachers are like, you need to, oh no, this is swords. You need to find these swords that have been buried, right, with the help of the indigenous population of this land, which is wolves. So, and that's the story. And then, so then for wands, we have this Agent Angela. And Agent Angela has been selected by these cat witches to liberate this place called Neon, which is controlled by robots. This is real. So Neon is controlled by robots. Her task is to like sow dissent among the citizens and get them to help her find and collect these 10 wands. And then the wands will come together to make this like super powerful being capable of taking down the robotic overlords. So we have gothic horror, we have science fiction. Then we're going to move into the genre of like angsty teen films that Christina Ricci is known for, where you have Winnie, and she's a high school student at this place called Valley Port. And it's sort of a Stepford Wives situation where like everything is beautiful and manicured and like very like we're in a utopia, but Winnie knows that there's something off. So we have like a Truman Show / Stepford Wives sort of situation where there's like the one person who realizes that there's something a little too perfect about all of this. They don't explain more, and they also don't explain where the pentacles come in, but that's the suit of pentacles. Apparently she begins finding clues hidden in like old books and things that set her on this hunt to uncover the town, all of the town's like dark secrets. So I'm just reading from the book here. So the iconography of the cards, I'm not quite sure how that all comes together. We'll just say that. And then Cups is, we have April, who is on a camping trip with her grandmother, and she meets this cat, and she's like, oh, a cat. And the cat's like, oh, hey, you're cool. I'm actually a witch. Will you help me lift the curse that turned me into a cat? And she's like, yeah. So then she follows, she like goes out on this journey to find these 10 magic cups. And then when she finds them, the cat witches will all go back to their human form and restore the kingdom to their former glory, right? So another former glory transition. So Marlena's story with, she's like the witch who's trying to like restore Deserty into Orantium. That one's the gothic horror. Science fiction is Agent Angela. Winnie, the high school student in Valleyport, is our Coins, and that's angsty teen films. And then April is sort of like the kid adventure fantasy sort of thing. So they're all like genres that Christina Ricci has done. And all of the cards are, again, not directly referencing specific films, but are suggesting different films. So let's take a look at some of the artwork. I really do think that it is really super beautiful. Like this one kind of looks like her character from Wednesday. She's like baking pies. So this is like pentacles. So this is the Port Valley thing. So I guess the pies are the pentacles in this situation. And so maybe that's what it is. It's like maybe you're supposed to be like Winnie and you're like looking for clues. Oh, here's the star, which seems to reference her character when she played Zelda Fitzgerald, right? So the star, which is interesting. I'm not sure how Zelda Fitzgerald fits into the star, but aesthetically, like, it's gorgeous. Like, it's definitely like her biggest, brightest, blondest character. It's more like she was like, you know, like a Hollywood star, you know, so it is a very starlet sort of character. The Page of Swords. So yeah, Swords is like our gothic horror dystopian landscape. So, yeah, so each of the suits, oh, the sun, here we go. Another sort of like, seems to be like a Zelda Fitzgerald idea. So it's just, all of it is just like imaginations of different characters. Oh, here's a cup. So like, here's the cat witches. So like, I'm not quite sure how we follow these stories, because when you're using the book to do your reading, oh, I like this one. Here we have our 9 of Cups. And all of the cat witches are maybe like, oh yeah, we're almost there. We're going to drink to you. Because they're all like raising a little glass to her. Right? So yeah, it's really interesting artwork in that like each suit sort of takes on whatever tone it's supposed to be in. There's something kind of like a, in the major arcana, I'm noticing it's like there's something sort of like futuristic Alphonse Mucha going on. I feel like the artist is sort of blending Art Nouveau with like classic Hollywood with whatever like timbre of Ricci's character is being captured. Like, yeah, so here's science fiction, so like here's wands. So the artist is really leaning into genre for these suits here. And then just sort of did this really interesting blend of Art Nouveau with Hollywood starlet with whatever character, like, so blending together a lot of influences for the major arcana and then really leaning into genre for the minor arcana. And it helps you, it's like she must be playing different characters because like in the Pentacles, one card she had red hair and this card she doesn't. So it's like she's playing different characters in each of the stories. And yeah, like this is the Ace of Cups. And like, I'm not sure what this has to do with setting the tone for a little girl going on a camping trip with her grandma. So while I don't find the stories particularly cohesive, I do find them interesting. And the book, when you're doing, like when you're doing your readings, the book will reference whatever the story is, which is a little difficult because all you really get is just like a little paragraph outlining what the story is. But then it's like they're kind of talking like they assume you know. So like here for strength, April shows strength through compassion when she rescues a cat witch from the snake while camping. The tarot card of strength represents courage and a resolve, gentle, caring leadership. So like they are kind of like bringing the stories in. So maybe if I were to use this deck like a lot, I would get like kind of intimate and into the stories, and they will help me to interpret. But just what I know about her filmography helps me to interpret. So one thing I really love about these fan sort of decks is that whatever you know about what movie or person it is, it really helps you to do the reading. So like if I were doing a reading and I pulled this Hermit card, I would be able to, I feel like they're referencing Penelope, even though that's not the same scarf. She had a very cool scarf in Penelope. But just the way it's wrapped around her face, and she's the hermit, and so she like lives alone. But you can also bring what you know about Penelope into the reading for your querent. So if there's any relevant, if there's like any relevant facet of that movie that you want to lean into, you can. It's all going to depend, I think, on what's happening, right? So we have the Five of Pentacles on this one. We seem to be referencing a character from Now and Then. What do I know about that movie? But also like, this is Pentacles, so this is the whole Valley Port story. So how does the Valley Port story help me interpret the reading? And then obviously, what do I know about the Five of Pentacles that's going to help my querent, right? So it just gives you a lot of threads of interpretation. Oh my God, this particular card came up in a reading once for somebody, and even though the Two of Pentacles does not have this meaning, I was like, this is kind of reminding me of the movie Mermaids, where like she was just like this chill kid, but like she was kind of always in between the mom and the older daughter who were always fighting with each other. And indeed, this person was asking about a situation where they felt like they were like the neutral party between two people that could sometimes not live together well. And so that's really what I mean when I'm talking about the Two of Pentacles, which is in its classical sort of interpretation, it's about like balance or harmony between two parties, actually, within your, work life or your finance or home. It's about like something that's usually like a solid, steady, grounded relationship. And so that's where we're really getting into that situation where knowing her filmography or knowing one of these stories has kind of like, it's kind of coming to help you interpret. So a lot of people ask me about interpretation all the time. And so those are some of my tips and tricks. There's so many levels at which tarot can help you to interpret. It's absolutely incredible. So let's get to a little collective reading for everybody. Little shuffle-roo happening. So, all right. So we have 1, 2. These are all stuck together. So I'm going to try again. Yeah, this is one of those decks where things really, really, really like to be sticky. So you really need to kind of break her in and let it shuffle through. Woo! Yikes. That kind of went everywhere. All right. This is a little bananas. Oh, you know what? I think the card I showed you before was the Queen of Cups, because this is the Ace of Cups, which does actually set up the story of April going on a camping trip with her grandmother. That's what I was staring at. So we have the Ace of Cups came out inverted and the Ace of Swords came out upright. So aces in tarot tend to encompass the entire energy of a given suit. So we have swords and we have cups. And so swords is the one that was kind of setting up our gothic horror, which kind of makes sense because like swords are very like a lot about our mental energy, right? It's a lot about what's going on in here. There's a lot to do with communication, the element of air. And then we have cups, which has a lot to do with our emotions, right? And flow and relationships, right? So we have kind of our intellectual life happening here. And so this is coming out upright, but then we have our feelings, which are our emotional aspect, which is kind of coming out upside down. So when we have these two together, I'm feeling like what the collective needs to hear is that maybe there's a disconnection between the head and the heart at this time. That there's a lack of flow, that we can hold accountable for that, because there's like perhaps rigidity that's existing somewhere that's keeping us from feeling our feelings and letting them pass. Because like here, right, there's something kind of foreboding about this. We're setting up that story about like that happens in our kind of gothic horror fantasy world, right? So there's a little bit of a gothic horror maybe beginning to brew in here that could be accounted for by the fact that maybe we need to get our heart in more. Maybe like we need to hydrate, like we need to drink some water. We need to take care of ourselves in order to bring this energy back up to where it needs to be so that we can manage this, right? We need to get our head and our heart back in line by allowing ourselves to feel what we need to feel, but not to the point to where we're overthinking it and getting lost in it, whatever it might happen to be, right? Because I'm reading like for whoever might happen to be watching later, right? So whoever watches this video, this is a message for you, maybe, maybe not. Like if it helps, take it. If not, you don't need it, right? Like it's whatever. But yeah, that's what I'm getting here is this story about a disconnection between head and heart, where things might be living in your mind rent-free, but you're not feeling your way through them and allowing emotions to flow. So maybe give yourself a good cry. Let yourself have a good cry. I actually have a big cup of water by me, so let's just all take a little sip together. And refresh and try to do what we can to get our heart and our head working together, right? This character, April, right? She has a massive heart, and that's why she went to go help the cat, right? According to this cat witch story, right? So she meets this cat witch and she leaves the safety of where she is, in order to go and help people who need help, right? But in order to do that, like she can't do it if her cup is empty. I get it. You got to have a full cup, right? In order to do all of the saving that people are expecting you to do. Because all of these stories they put together are a lot about like something dystopian's happening and we need one person to be on their game and save everything. But that's just a movie. That's just a story, right? Like one person can't save everything, which maybe is like a bad message, but it's like it's One person can draw people to them, and that nugget grows and grows and grows and grows, and maybe that's how we get saved. I don't know. Anyway, that's the message that I've been given for today. I love you all so much. If you're on Facebook, what I forgot to say at the beginning is that if you watch this on Instagram, they cut me off after 15 minutes. So my Instagrammers probably aren't seeing this at all, but that's okay. My Facebook people are here, and I love you. So yippee skippy. Everybody have a fantastic week. I love you so much. I thank you, I thank you, I thank you if you watch to the end of this. Bye-bye.